I'd known Talia Shaw for 20 years, but I was 21 when I saw her for the first time. She was standing in front of me in a white dress, shifting her weight from one foot to the other. The heels she was wearing looked like a punishment. What? You just gonna stare? Is it that bad? Her voice was the same as always, sharpened with a familiar edge of impatience. But my eyes were stuck on the slice of calf her dress revealed, so pale it practically glowed. And her waist, I could have circled it with one hand. Did you hit her head or something? My throat felt like sandpaper. The words came out rough. She rolled her eyes, a gesture I knew better than my own reflection. But today, even I was different. Sharper, prettier. Company party, she said, tugging at the hem. Mandatory dress code. This is a pain in the ass. My brain was buzzing. This was Talia. The same Talia who could haul a 5-gallon water jug up 6 flights of stairs without breaking a sweat. The Talia who, back in middle school, beat the hell out of the kid who was bullying me until he was practically crying for his mom. The Talia who'd spent our entire childhood in matching sweatpants with me. But now she was in a dress, and the lines of her legs were smooth and impossibly long. I felt a sudden tightness in my throat. So is it okay or not? She took 2 steps and nearly twisted her ankle. I shot out a hand to steady her without thinking. Through the thin fabric, I could feel the warmth of her arm. It's fine, I said, pulling my hand back. My palm was sweating. Just fine? She arched an eyebrow. I'd seen that look a million times, but tonight it landed differently. Her eyes seemed brighter than usual. It's nice. It looks really nice, I mumbled, turning my gaze to a nearby streetlight. Could have just said so. Wasting my time. She spun around and walked back toward the house, the dress flaring out in a soft white arc. I stood there for a long time, rooted to the spot. The strange feeling in my chest was getting louder. Later that night, I tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Talia in that dress. I could smell the faint scent of peaches that had replaced her usual smell of SPF 50 sunscreen. I fumbled for my phone and pulled up our text history. The last message was from her, yesterday afternoon. You're coming with me to buy a dress tomorrow. Say no, and I'll punch you. It was followed by a grinning emoji. I just replied, okay. At the time, I hadn't thought anything of it. Now, looking at the words, my stomach was in knots. The next day, when I saw her, she was back in a t-shirt and jeans. For some reason, I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Let's go. What are you waiting for? She said, slinging an arm around my neck like she always did. My whole body went rigid. What's with you? She let go, looking at me strangely. Nothing. I ran a hand through my hair. Skipped breakfast. A little lightheaded. She dug in her backpack and tossed a granola bar at me. Knew you wouldn't get up in time. I caught it, my fingertips brushing against hers. I pulled my hand back like I'd been burned. You're being weird today, she said, squinting at me. You're the one who's weird, I muttered, tearing open the wrapper. I cursed myself under my breath for being such an idiot. At a team dinner that night, she sat next to me. Dave from marketing came over and leaned on the back of her chair, his arm hovering just above her shoulders. Looking sharp, T, he said with a grin. I stared at his hand. Piss off, Dave, Talia laughed, but she didn't push him away. I stood up to get her a drink, deliberately squeezing between her and Dave. Here, drink this. It's cold. I set the glass of Coke down in front of her. She raised an eyebrow. A sudden change of heart? I thought you were my personal doctor, always telling me not to drink ice stuff. I didn't say anything. When I sat back down, I shifted my chair closer to hers, forcing Dave to retract his arm. I walked her home that night. The streetlights stretched our shadows out long and thin in front of us. She walked beside me, humming some tuneless pop song. What was with you today? She asked suddenly. What do you mean? You were just on edge all day. She kicked at a loose piece of gravel. Did I do something to piss you off? No. Then why'd you practically shove Dave out of the way? She stopped walking. I stopped too. His hands were probably grimy. The excuse sounded pathetic as soon as it left my mouth. She laughed. Are you for real? Yeah, I think I'm losing my mind. She got sick a week later. When she called, her voice was thick and congested. I think I have a fever. I grabbed my jacket and was out the door before she finished the sentence. Did you take anything? No. Too lazy to move. She sniffled. I showed up at her apartment with ibuprofen and a container of chicken noodle soup. When she opened the door, she looked completely drained. Her face was flushed. Her hair was a tangled mess. Hey, she said, her voice soft and weak. I reached out and pressed the back of my hand to her forehead. It was burning up. She closed her eyes and leaned into my touch for a second. My hand trembled. My hands were still shaking while I sliced ginger for the tea I was making her. I nearly took off a fingertip. She poked her head into the kitchen. "Smells good." I turned around. She was leaning against the doorframe, her cheeks still pink, her eyes glassy. "Go lie down," I said, quickly turning back to the stove. "Okay." She didn't move. I could feel her watching me, and the back of my neck prickled. When I was trying to get her to take the pills, my fingers brushed her cheek. She flinched. So did I. "I can do it," she said, taking the glass of water. Her fingers grazed the back of my hand. It felt like a jolt of static electricity. I watched the way her throat moved as she swallowed, and my own throat went dry. She fell asleep right after. I sat on the edge of her bed, just watching her. Her eyelashes were long, her nose straight. Her lips. I jerked my eyes away. Something was burning a hole in my chest. She shifted in her sleep, her head rolling off the pillow and onto my thigh. I froze completely, not daring to move a muscle. I could smell the peach shampoo in her hair, mixed with the faint, not unpleasant scent of sweat. I leaned down, getting closer. Close enough to count her eyelashes. Close enough to feel the soft puff of her breath against my cheek. My heart was hammering against my ribs. I was a breath away from kissing her. Then she stirred. I shot upright. "You're still here?" she murmured, her eyes fluttering open. "Yeah." My voice was hoarse. "Good," she whispered. She snuggled closer, practically into my lap, and fell back asleep. I sat there, holding her for so long that my arm went numb. The next day, she was back to her old self, bouncing off the walls. "Thanks for last night, man," she said, slapping my shoulder. "You're a real one." I didn't say anything. She leaned in, studying my face. "You've got some serious dark circles. Didn't sleep well." "Why not?" She tilted her head. "Because you slept in my arms all night. Because I almost kissed you. Because I think I'm falling in love with my best friend." "Video games," I said. A senior from the design department, Kyle, started hitting on her. He sent flowers to her desk every day. One afternoon, she came back from lunch carrying a massive bouquet, a complicated look on her face. "What's up?" I asked. "He asked me to go to a concert with him." She dropped the flowers on her desk. "Should I go?" The pen in my hand clattered onto the floor. "Do whatever you want." I bent down to get it and smacked my forehead on the corner of the desk. "Ow," she burst out laughing. "Why are you so worked up?" "I'm not." I rubbed the sore spot. "So should I go or not?" She pressed, staring at me, her eyes shining. "If you want to go, then go." "What if he's just trying to get with me?" "Then don't go." "Why not?" "It's not safe." "What's not safe about it?" "He just gives me a bad vibe." "You don't even know him." I could just tell by looking at him. That only made her laugh harder. That night, she actually went. I paced around my apartment, a nervous wreck, checking my phone every 5 minutes. 10 o'clock rolled around, and she wasn't back. I called her. "Where are you?" "On my way home." "Alone?" "Who else would I be with?" I could hear the smile in her voice. "I'll come meet you." "No need. I'm almost at the complex." I grabbed my keys and sprinted out the door anyway. I saw her at the entrance to our apartment complex, walking slowly by herself. I ran to catch up. "What's wrong?" she asked, surprised to see me. "Nothing," I panted. "Just getting some air." She just smiled, not calling me on my obvious lie. Kyle didn't give up. One day it was chocolates, the next a giant teddy bear. Every time, she'd bring the stuff back to our shared office space and ask me what to do with it. I told her to trash it, and she did. But Kyle persisted. On Friday after work, he was waiting for her by the main entrance, holding 2 tickets to something. "Talia, let's grab dinner." She looked at me. I looked at the ceiling. "I already have plans," she said. "What about tomorrow?" Kyle asked, undeterred. She looked at me again. I grabbed her hand and started walking. "She's busy," I said over my shoulder. We were a block away before I let go. My palm was slick with sweat. "What was that about?" she asked, rubbing her wrist. "He's not right for you." "Why not?" "He's too old. He's 5 years older than me. He's balding. The man has a full head of hair. He's short. He's an inch taller than you." I ran out of excuses. She was smiling, a knowing, playful look in her eyes. "Ethan, are you jealous?" I just stood there, speechless. That weekend, she dragged me to the mall. And of course, we ran into Kyle. He was with a girl. A different girl than the one he'd been with last week. Talia's expression soured. What's wrong? I asked. Nothing. She pulled me along. After a minute, she said, that girl he's with? That's his girlfriend. I stopped. He hits on half the women in the office, she said with a humorless twist of her lips. What a player. The knot of irritation in my stomach instantly dissolved, replaced by a wave of something that felt dangerously like relief. On Monday, Kyle showed up with another bouquet. Talia took it from him, walked over to the trash can in the break room, and dropped it in right in front of him. I'm already seeing someone, she said, loud enough for half the office to hear. Kyle's face fell. Who? She looked right at me. My heart skipped a beat. It's not you. That's for sure, she said and walked away. That evening, she came over to my place for dinner. My mom made a huge spread. Talia, eat more. You're too thin, my mom said, piling food on her plate. Thanks, Mrs. Reed, she said with a smile that could charm anyone. After dinner, we were in my room playing video games. She was sitting on the floor, her leg pressed against mine. Thank for today, I said. For what? For not. You know, saying it was me. She laughed. Don't flatter yourself. We were halfway through a level when she suddenly asked, if another guy starts hitting on me, what are you going to do? Chase him off. As what? My brother. She raised an eyebrow. I almost dropped my controller. I didn't answer. She leaned closer. Ethan, do you have a crush on me? My fingers froze on the buttons. The room was so quiet I could hear my own heart pounding. She just looked at me, her gaze steady and unblinking. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. The light in her eyes dimmed. Forget it. She started to get up. I grabbed her arm. Yes, I said. She froze. I like you, I said, my voice shaking a little, and not in a we're just friends kind of way. Her eyes slowly widened. Say that again. I like you, Talia. It was easier the second time. Her eyes welled up. You asshole, she whispered. What took you so long? I was completely stunned. She launched herself at me and bit my shoulder. It didn't really hurt. I've been waiting for 20 years, she said, her voice choked with tears. I wrapped my arms around her. I'm sorry, idiot. She pulled back to look at me, her eyes red-rimmed but sparkling. I leaned in and kissed her. It was soft, hesitant. She closed her eyes, her eyelashes fluttering against her cheek. I deepened the kiss. Her response was clumsy, inexperienced. Neither of us knew what we were doing, but it was perfect. When we broke apart, her face was flushed. Mine probably was too. When did you? I started to ask. Middle school, she said. I stared at her. That long. Who do you think was bringing you a breakfast burrito every single morning? I thought it was on your way. On my way? I went 2 blocks out of my way for you, you moron. She pinched my side. I laughed and pulled her closer. Then why didn't you ever say anything? I was waiting for you to say it first, she mumbled into my chest. And I waited, and I waited. I held her tighter. I'm so sorry. You can make it up to me by bringing me breakfast every day from now on. Deal. We sat on the floor for hours, just talking. Her head was in my lap. So when did you finally figure out? She asked, tracing patterns on my hand. The day you wore that dress, I admitted. She let out a laugh. I knew it. Knew what? The way you looked at me all night. You couldn't form a complete sentence. I gently squeezed her cheek. So you did that on purpose? Yep, she said with a smug grin. And the perfume. Yep. And Kyle. He was really hitting on me. I just used it to my advantage. Wow. Jealous. Yeah. She smiled, looking ridiculously pleased with herself. When I walked her home, we ran into her mom on the front stoop. Talia, Ethan, you two are out late, she said with a warm smile. I instinctively let go of Talia's hand. She immediately grabbed it back and held on tighter. Mom, she said clear as day, we're together. Her mom blinked. Then a slow, wide grin spread across her face. Well, it's about time. My ears burned. We walked down the street we grew up on. She pointed to a corner. Remember? That's where I beat up those kids who were messing with you. I nodded. She'd seemed so tall back then, standing in front of me like a shield. It's my turn to protect you now, I said. She smiled, her eyes crinkling at the corners. Okay. She stood on her toes and kissed my cheek. I'm counting on you, then. So, back in middle school, I said, a thought dawning on me. When you fought off those guys for me, that wasn't just a coincidence. Of course not, dummy. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I saw them following you and ran 2 blocks to cut them off. I wrapped my arm tighter around her and bringing me breakfast for 3 years in high school. I was worried you'd starve, helping me with my coding projects in college. I was worried you'd fail and insisting we get an apartment together after graduation. Worried you'd starve and fail. I laughed out loud. What's so funny? She asked, looking up at me. Nothing, I said, kissing her forehead, just realizing what an idiot I've been. As long as you know, she said, snuggling back against me contentedly. The next day at work, I walked in holding her hand. Dave's eyes practically popped out of his head. You too. We're together, Talia announced. Dave stared for a second, then broke into a grin. It's about damn time. He clapped me on the shoulder. Congrats, man. Then he turned to Talia. So, does this mean I have to be nice to him now? Talia kicked his shin playfully. It means you have to call me ma'am. Yes, ma'am, Dave said with a mock salute. The news spread through the office like wildfire. At lunch in the cafeteria, Kyle walked over with his tray. Talia, he said, then looked at me. And this is my boyfriend, Talia said simply. The color drained from Kyle's face. When did this happen? Yesterday, I said. He looked from me to Talia, then back again. Well, congratulations. He turned and walked away. Serve him right, Talia muttered. I squeezed her hand under the table. On the way home from work, we passed a street vendor selling roasted almonds. 1 bag, I told the guy. You don't even like almonds, Talia said. They're for you, I said, paying the vendor. Her eyes crinkled into a smile, getting all thoughtful on me now. I've always been thoughtful. Bullshit, she said, taking a warm paper bag. For my birthday last year, you got me a pair of socks. They were limited edition. They were ugly. She cracked open a shell and popped an almond into my mouth. Good. Yeah, I said, chewing. It was sweet, but the feeling in my chest was sweeter. We went to a movie that weekend. A horror movie. She spent the entire time with her hands over her eyes. Why do you watch these if you're so scared? I asked. It's exciting, she said, peeking through her fingers. When a jump scare hit, she practically burrowed into my side. I put my arm around her and decided it was a great movie. She could barely walk when the lights came up. Okay, no more horror movies, she said, clinging to my arm. Deal, I said with a smile. What are you smiling at? Nothing. You're totally laughing at me. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. She pinched my side. I dodged out of the way. Seriously, I'm not. I don't believe you. On the walk home, she kept rehashing the plot. When that ghost girl just popped up out of nowhere, I almost had a heart attack. It's all fake, I said. But what if it wasn't? She said, leaning closer. If we ever ran into a real ghost, would you protect me? Of course. How? I'd stand in front of you. And then I'd let it eat me first. She stopped walking. No. Why not? I wouldn't want you to, she said quietly. My heart melted a little. Okay, then we run. Together. That's better, she said, smiling again. When we got to her building, I didn't want the night to end. Just hang out for another minute, I said. It's cold. She rubbed her arms. I took off my jacket and draped it over her shoulders. Better? A little. We stood under a streetlight, our shadows merging into one. Ethan. Yeah. Is this? Are we dating now? I think so. So how does it work? Pretty much like this. Oh. She looked down, kicking a pebble. Doesn't feel that different from before. It's different, I said. How? Now I can do this. I leaned down and kissed her. She was surprised for a second, then kissed me back. It was a little less clumsy this time. When we pulled apart, her face was bright red. I'm going up, she said quickly. Okay. See you tomorrow. She turned and practically bolted into the lobby. I stood there for a minute, watching, until the light in her apartment window flicked on. She pushed open the window and leaned out. Why are you still here? Leaving now. I waved. Go home. It's cold. Okay. I turned to walk away and heard her yell my name. Ethan. I looked back. Good night, she shouted. Good night. I yelled back. I smiled the entire way home. When I walked in the door, my mom looked up from her book. Did you win the lottery? Better, I said. This has something to do with Talia, doesn't it? My mom asked, raising an eyebrow. How'd you know? I can see the dumb look on your face from here, she said, shaking her head. It's about time you two figure it out. You say that, too? Honey, the entire neighborhood has been saying that for 15 years. Oh, I went to my room and sent her a text. Made it home. A second later, she replied. Me too. followed by another message. Thinking of you. I stared at the 3 words, my heart doing a backflip. Me too. I typed back. The next morning, I showed up at her place with breakfast. Her mom let me in. Talia is not up yet. I'll get her. I walked into her room like I owned the place. She was curled up in her blankets, just the top of her messy hair visible. Time to get up, I said, pulling back the comforter. Cold, she mumbled, trying to burrow back under. You're going to be late. I put the bag with the bacon, egg, and cheese on her nightstand. 5 more minutes. She pleaded, half asleep. I sat on the edge of the bed and just watched her. She looked so peaceful, her lips slightly parted. I leaned down and gave her a quick kiss. Her eyes flew open. Hey, no fair. Time to get up, I said, pretending to be innocent. She sat up, her hair sticking out in every direction. What time is it? 7:30. Oh crap. She scrambled out of bed and sprinted to the bathroom. I watched her frantic retreat and couldn't help but laugh. On the drive to work, she complained the whole time. This is all your fault. You should have woken me up earlier. I tried. You wouldn't get up. Well, you haven't made me get up. And how am I supposed to do that? Like this, for example. She leaned over the center console and kissed me at a red light. See? Lesson learned. Lesson learned, I nodded. From now on, that's how you wake me up. Deal. At the office, Dave kept wiggling his eyebrows at us. Knock it off, Talia said. It's unprofessional. What am I doing? Dave asked, feigning innocence. Your eye is twitching, I said. I'm just happy for you guys, he said, leaning in. So, when are you buying us all drinks? Payday, Talia said without missing a beat. You got it, Dave said, satisfied, and walked away. At lunch, Talia picked all the bell peppers out of her stir-fry and put them on my plate. You can't be a picky eater, I said. Watch me, she said, completely unapologetic. I'm your boyfriend. I'm supposed to look out for your health. Boyfriends especially are not allowed to tell me what to do. What kind of logic is that? My logic. I sighed and ate the peppers. She nodded approvingly. Good boy. Then give me your carrots, too. Nope, she said, shielding her plate. I like these. I just shook my head and smiled. We had to work late one night. I looked over and she had fallen asleep, her head pillowed on her arms on the desk. I took off my suit jacket and draped it over her shoulders. She stirred but didn't wake up. I went back to my spreadsheet. A little while later, I felt someone staring at me. I looked up. She was awake, just watching me. What? I asked. You look kinda handsome when you're focused, she said. You're just now noticing? I noticed a long time ago, she smiled. I just never told you. Why not? Didn't want you to get a big head. I reached out and ruffled her hair. Hey, stop it, she said, ducking away. You're messing it up. Looks good messy, too. You're getting smooth, she said, rolling her eyes, but she was smiling. It started pouring rain just as we were leaving. We didn't have an umbrella. What do we do? She asked, looking out at the downpour. Make a run for it. We'll get soaked. Wait for it to stop. Who knows how long that'll be. We were stuck under the awning by the front door. The rain was coming down even harder. I have an idea, she said. What? You give me a piggyback ride, and I'll hold the umbrella. Where's the umbrella? She produced a big umbrella from behind her back like a magician. Borrowed it from the front desk. All right, hop on, I said. She jumped onto my back. I staggered for a second to get my balance. Geez, you're heavy. Liar, she said, smacking my shoulder. I weighed myself yesterday. I'm down 2 pounds. Must have been a big breakfast then. Ethan, she wrapped her arm around my neck. Careful, you'll make me drop you. I yelped. She immediately loosened her grip. The rain hammered the pavement, splashing up around my ankles. She held the umbrella over us, humming a song. What are you singing? I asked. Nothing, she said, her voice full of laughter. After a few blocks, she said quietly, Ethan. Yeah. I wanted to always be like this. Like what? Just like this. She rested her cheek against my back. Okay, I said. By the time we got to her place, we were both half drenched. I told you to hold the umbrella more on my side, I said. You're taller, it's not my fault, she said, sticking her tongue out. Go take a hot shower so you don't get sick again. I know. She leaned in and kissed me. Good night. Good night. I watched her door close before I turned to go up to my own apartment. While I was in the shower, my phone buzzed with a text from her. I'm all clean. That was fast. I'm efficient. Clearly. Are you done? In the middle of it. Oh, okay. I won't bother you then. A minute later, another text came through. I miss you. I stared at the words, a warmth spreading through my chest. I'll see you tomorrow. That's still like 12 hours away. It'll go by fast. Still too long. So what do you want to do about it? I don't know. Just wanted you to know. I dried my hair and called her. Hello. Her voice was soft and sleepy. You in bed? So, I suddenly had no idea what to say. Why'd you stop talking? She asked. I don't know what to say. Then don't say anything. I could just listen to you breathe. We were quiet for a minute, the only sound our breathing on either end of the line. Talia. Yeah. I love you, I said. The line went silent for a few seconds. Say it again. I love you. I love you too, she whispered. So much. On payday, we took Dave and a few other friends from work out to dinner. Dave had a few too many beers and got sentimental. Talia is a great girl, man, he said, slinging an arm around me. You gotta treat her right. I know. No, you don't know, Dave said, shaking his head. Back in the day, Dave, Talia cut him off. Don't talk nonsense. It's not nonsense, he slurred. All the stuff you did for this guy. And he had no clue. I wanted to, Talia said, pulling me away. What was he talking about? I asked later. Nothing. Tell me. It's just stupid little stuff. She wouldn't say. I found out later, from someone else, that whenever a girl showed interest in me in college, Talia would quietly tell them I was already taken. When I got a bad case of the flu our junior year, she skipped a week of classes to take care of me, failing a midterm because of it. When a project of mine at work was about to crash and burn, she stayed up all night with me, redoing the entire proposal. She never said a word about any of it. On the drive home, I asked her, why didn't you ever tell me? Tell you what, all those things you did for me. What was there to tell? She said, looking out the window. I want to do it. I took her hand. From now on, it's my turn. I'll do things for you. You? She raised an eyebrow. What can you even do? I can learn. Forget it, she laughed. Just take care of yourself. That's enough for me. No, I said, insistent. I'm going to be good to you. You're already good to me, she said, leaning her head on my shoulder. This is more than enough. That Thanksgiving, our families had dinner together. My mom and her mom were chatting away. So, when are you two going to make it official? Talia's mom asked. Mom. Talia's face turned bright red. Mrs. Shaw, I said, we're just taking our time. What's it to wait for? My mom chimed in. You two have known each other your whole lives. Exactly, her mom agreed. Time to lock it down. Talia and I just looked at each other, staying quiet. After dinner, we snuck out to light fireworks in the backyard, something we used to do as kids. It felt completely different now. A bottle rocket screamed into the night sky and burst into a shower of green sparks, illuminating her face. It's beautiful, she said. Yeah, I said, looking at her profile. She turned to me. You're not even watching the fireworks. You're better to look at, I said. She laughed. You've gotten so cheesy. I learned from the best. I leaned in to kiss her just as another firework exploded above us. Ethan, yeah. Let's get married, she said. I froze. What? What did you say? I said, she repeated, looking me straight in the eye. Let's get married. Hey, that's my line. Does it matter who says it? Yes. I dropped to one knee, even though I didn't have a ring. Talia Shaw, will you marry me? She stared for a second, then burst out laughing. Get up, the ground is wet. Not until you say yes. I said yes already, she said, pulling me to my feet. We held each other tight. We'll get a ring tomorrow, I said. We don't have to. It's just a formality. No, I insisted. Whatever other girls have, you're going to have too. In that case, I want the biggest one you can find. Done. I'm kidding, she laughed. A simple one is fine. The next day, we went ring shopping. She tried on a few, but ended up picking a simple, thin silver band with a tiny diamond. This one, she said. Are you sure? We can look at some others, the salesperson said. No, this is the one, she said firmly. After we left the store, I asked her why that one. It suits me, she said. It was on sale. We're not trying to save money here. Who's trying to save money? She shot back. I genuinely like it. I looked at the ring on her hand, sparkling in the sun. It's perfect, I said. Of course it is. She held up her hand, admiring it. That night, her mom saw the ring. So, it's official? Yep, Talia said. Her mom's eyes got misty. That's wonderful. She stroked Talia's hair, then clapped me on the shoulder. You two take care of each other. We will, I promised. Before bed, Talia texted me. Can't sleep. Excited? A little. Me too. What are we even doing? Texting. No, smartass. I mean, we're actually getting married. Yep. Feels like a dream. It's not. What if I wake up? I won't let you. Promise. Promise. Our wedding was simple, just close friends and family. Dave was our officiant, and he was a blubbering mess. I've known Talia for years, he said, wiping his nose. And the first time I ever saw her in a dress was the night Ethan finally got a clue. Everyone laughed. Talia pinched my side. This is your fault. My fault for what? If it wasn't for you, I could have just been one of the guys for a few more years. You don't like this? It's okay, she muttered, looking down. It's just a little weird. You'll get used to it, I said. When we exchanged rings, my hand was shaking. Hers was too. Nervous, I whispered. Duh, she whispered back. It's my first time getting married. You planning on a second? Don't you dare. She stomped on my foot. The guests laughed again. Kiss the bride, Dave yelled. The crowd joined in. I looked at Talia. Her face was bright pink. Close your eyes, I said. Why should I? Just do it. She did. I leaned in and kissed her. The room erupted in applause. At the reception, Talia drank Shirley Temples while I took the toasts. When we got to her mom's table, she grabbed my hand. You take care of my Talia. I will, Mrs. Shaw. I promise. She's out of temper. You have to be patient with her. Mom, Talia protested. I know, I smiled. I'm used to it. That night, back at her new apartment, she collapsed onto the sofa. Getting married is exhausting. Next time we'll keep it simpler. Next time, she sat bolt upright, glaring at me. Slip of the tongue, I said, holding my hands up in surrender. She lay back down. But, she said, looking at the ring on her finger, it was worth it. Talia Reid. Sounds pretty good. Ethan Reid sounds good too, I said. She laughed. Come here. I walked over, and she pulled me down onto the sofa next to her, resting her head on my shoulder. We're really married, she said. Yep. Will you love me forever? I will. Even if I'm not pretty anymore. Still love you. Even if I get fat. Love you even more. Liar. It's true, I said, wrapping my arms around her. I'll love you no matter what you look like. That's more like it, she said, closing her eyes contentedly. Years later, we had a daughter. She looked just like Talia. Talia insisted she looked like me. She has your eyes, your nose, your mouth. She's a carbon copy of you. We argued about it until the baby started crying. See what you did, she grumbled. My fault, I said, rushing to soothe our daughter. Our little girl grew up to be exactly like her mother, climbing trees, getting into fights, a force of nature. She's just like you were as a kid, I'd say. No way. I was much more dignified, Talia would claim, completely straight-faced. Mommy's lying. Our daughter, Lily, would chime in. Grandma said you used to make the boys cry. Talia would be speechless. I'd be howling with laughter. What are you laughing at? She'd snap, pinching me. Your daughter is just as much of terror. I think it's a good look for her, I'd say. You're ridiculous. The day Lily started middle school, she came home looking furious. What happened, sweetie? Talia asked. Some kid was talking trash about Dad. Who? A boy in another class. He said Dad was a loser who leeches off Mom's salary. Talia's brow furrowed. And what did you say? I told him my mom was happy to support her lazy husband, and it was none of his business. And then he called me a name, so I punched him. Talia and I looked at each other. Good for you, Talia said. You can't just punch people, I said at the same time. Weren't you the one I was always protecting? Talia challenged me. That's different. How is it different? I'm a guy. So what? Guys are supposed to protect girls. You're such an old man, Talia snorted. She turned to Lily. Honey, next time someone gives you trouble, you hit them again. Mom's got your back. Talia, I said, exasperated. What? She looked at me. No one messes with my daughter. That's not what I meant. Good. She grabbed Lily's hand, and they went to watch TV. I just shook my head and smiled. Later that night, Talia was curled up next to me in bed. Were you mad at me today? She asked. No. Really? Really? I think you were right, though, she said suddenly. Girls probably shouldn't get into so many fights. Oh, what changed your mind? Lily's getting older. She needs to be more strategic. So you finally see my point. But, she added, looking up at me, if strategy fails, a good right hook is always an option. I knew it. The day we took Lily to the bus station for college, she clung to Talia and wouldn't let go. I'm going to miss you, Mom. Call me whenever you want, Talia said, patting her back. Dad, Lily said, turning to me, take care of Mom for me. You know I will, I said, smoothing her hair. As the bus pulled away, Talia started to cry. Hey, don't cry, I said, pulling her into a hug. It's her first time so far away from home. She has to grow up sometime. I know, she said, wiping her eyes. I'm going to miss her. You still got me, I said. She leaned her head on my shoulder. Thank God for that. On the way home, we passed the park we used to play in as kids. Want to sit for a bit? I asked. Okay. We sat on a bench, watching a new generation of kids on the swings. Time goes by so fast, she said. Yeah. Remember, she said. The first time you ever kissed me was right over there. I remember, I smiled. Your face was so red. So was yours, she sniffed. Talia. Yeah. Thank you. For what? For still being here. You idiot, she said, taking my hand. Where else would I go? The sun was setting, casting our shadows long across the grass. She leaned her head on my shoulder and drifted off to sleep. I looked at the fine lines around her eyes and thought about that night, all those years ago when I first saw her in that white dress. We were so young then and so clueless. We were old now, but some things hadn't changed at all. I leaned over and gently kissed her forehead. She stirred but didn't wake. I smiled and squeezed her hand. On the ground, our two shadows had melted into one. You couldn't tell where one began and the other ended.